Let's get right into it. Number 7. Cold that hates you. Imagine waking up and the air inside your house feels like it personally wants you dead. Not a bit chilly, not grab a hoodie, but full-on betrayal cold. The kind of cold that sneaks into your bones, sets up camp, and refuses to leave. Welcome to winter in the Middle Ages, where insulation was mostly vibes and hope. Your house? Stone walls, dirt floors, a roof that leaks just enough to keep things interesting. Fireplaces existed, sure, but they were wildly inefficient. Most of the heat went straight up the chimney, like medieval central heating designed by someone who hated warmth. You'd huddle near the fire, roasting one side of your body while the other side slowly froze, like a sad human rotisserie. And clothing? No fancy thermal layers, no fleece, no moisture-wicking technology. You had wool. Scratchy, heavy wool that got damp, stayed damp, and smelled like every bad decision you'd ever made. If you were rich, congrats, you got more wool. If you were poor, congrats, you got less wool and more suffering. Your body, meanwhile, is burning calories like it's trying to outrun a wolf, because staying warm takes energy, a lot of it. This is why medieval winters were basically a long endurance test. People ate more if they could, slept more if they were allowed, and still lost weight because their metabolism was working overtime just to keep their organs from quitting. Psychologically, constant cold messes with you. It makes everything harder, thinking feels slower, motivation drops, your brain becomes a grumpy little goblin whose only goal is stay alive until spring. Seasonal depression wasn't a concept yet, but the vibes? Absolutely there. Basically, winter wasn't a season. It was an ongoing argument between you and the laws of thermodynamics, and physics was winning. Number 6. Starvation season. Winter wasn't just cold, it was hungry, like counting individual grains of wheat, hungry. By the time winter rolled around, whatever food you didn't preserve correctly was already gone, moldy, or mysteriously eaten by rats who were living better lives than you. Fresh food? Gone. Fruits and vegetables? A memory. Meat? Rare, unless you had livestock, and even then, you didn't want to eat the animals that were supposed to survive and reproduce in spring. So most meals turned into some version of bread, porridge, or soup that was basically hot water with ambition. Your body hates this. Cold plus low calories is a terrible combo. You're burning energy to stay warm, but not replacing it properly. So your brain gets foggy, your muscles get weaker. Small illnesses turn into big ones because your immune system is running on fumes. This is where medieval psychology gets darkly fascinating. People adapted by lowering expectations. Hunger became normal. That constant gnawing feeling in your stomach, just part of life. You stop reacting to it emotionally, because reacting every day would drive you insane. The human brain is excellent at normalizing suffering, if it has no other option. Communal eating helped. Shared meals weren't just about food, they were about morale. Social bonding literally helped people survive winter by keeping spirits high enough to keep going. Of course, if winter dragged on too long, famine hit. And famine wasn't dramatic at first, it was quiet. People just got thinner, slower, quieter, until one day, they didn't get up. So yeah, winter dieting wasn't a choice. It was enforced by history, weather, and the cruel reality that bread does not, in fact, grow on trees. Number 5. Darkness brain. Winter in the Middle Ages didn't just steal your warmth and food, it stole your daylight, and your brain absolutely hates that. Imagine the sun clocking out at 4 p.m., leaving you in a world lit by fire, candles, and whatever courage you have left. Candles were expensive, firewood was precious, so most people didn't flood their homes with light, they rationed it. Which means long stretches of sitting in semi-darkness, doing nothing. No scrolling, no TV, no distractions. Just your thoughts, the wind outside, and the unsettling realization that silence is very loud. This messes with your circadian rhythm hard. Your brain uses sunlight to decide when to wake up, stay alert, and release happy chemicals. Take that away, and your internal clock turns into a confused medieval sundial. People slept more, but not better. They woke up at odd hours. Second sleep was a thing people would sleep, wake up around midnight, stare into the void, pray, think about death, then go back to sleep. Psychologically, darkness amplifies anxiety. Your brain fills in gaps with worst-case scenarios. Every sound outside could be a wolf, a thief, or something supernatural. Remember, this is a time when monsters were considered a valid explanation for unexplained events, so your imagination had range. Darkness also slowed productivity, which fed guilt and stress. You weren't lazy. You literally couldn't see, but try explaining that to a society where survival depended on constant labor. Basically, winter turned everyone's brain into a slightly haunted house, and the less light you had, the louder your thoughts became. Number 4. Disease loves winter. If winter had a hobby, it was spreading illness. Cold weather forced people indoors, crammed together in poorly ventilated spaces, breathing the same air, sharing the same blankets, and absolutely not washing their hands. Germs were thriving, people were not. Respiratory infections exploded in winter. Coughs, fevers, mystery illnesses with names like the sweating sickness that sounded fake but were extremely real. And without modern medicine, your immune system was doing all the work while underfed, sleep-deprived, and freezing. Your body under stress produces more cortisol, which is great for emergencies but terrible long-term. It suppresses immune function. So winter stress literally made people sicker, which made winter more stressful, which made people even sicker. A beautiful little loop of misery. And let's talk about hygiene. Bathing in winter meant undressing in the cold, which felt like a personal attack. So people bathed less, clothes were worn longer, parasites thrived. Lice didn't care about your suffering. They were having the time of their lives. Psychologically, illness brought fear. There was no clear line between a bad cold and, "this might kill me." Every sickness carried uncertainty, and fear weakens people, mentally and physically. So surviving winter wasn't just about staying warm, it was about not catching something that would quietly end you before spring even showed up. Your immune system wasn't just fighting germs, it was fighting the season itself. Number 3, fire is life. Fire wasn't comfort, it was survival. Lose your fire in winter, and everything spiraled fast. Heat, cooking, light, even emotional security. Fire handled all of it. Keeping a fire going was work, constant work. Wood had to be gathered, chopped, dried, and protected from moisture. If it got wet, good luck. If you ran out, you didn't just get cold, you got desperate. Fire also controlled time. Days revolved around tending it, nights revolved around it. Your brain associates firelight with safety, and when it went out, anxiety spiked. Darkness plus cold plus silence was a psychological stress cocktail. There's a reason people told stories around the fire. It wasn't just entertainment, it regulated fear, it gave structure to the night. It reminded everyone, we're still here. From a neurological standpoint, firelight is soothing. It's warm, rhythmic, predictable. It lowers stress responses. Take it away, and your nervous system goes on high alert. So when medieval people guarded their fires like sacred objects, it wasn't superstition, it was instinct. Because in winter, fire wasn't just warmth, it was hope that hadn't frozen yet. Number 2, cabin fever, medieval edition. Picture being trapped indoors for weeks or months with the same people, the same smells, and absolutely no escape. No walks. For mental health, no headphones, no personal space, just you, your family, maybe some livestock, and walls that do not block sound. Winter forced proximity. And your brain? It's not built for constant social exposure without breaks. Small annoyances grew teeth. Someone chewing too loud wasn't just irritating, it felt like a personal attack on your soul. Arguments flared faster, tempers shortened, everyone was tired, hungry, cold, and done. Modern psychology calls this confinement stress. Your brain needs novelty and autonomy. Take those away, and stress hormones rise. You become hyper-aware of everything. Every word feels heavier. Every silence feels louder. This is why winter saw spikes in conflict, not because people suddenly became worse, but because the environment pushed them past their coping limits. Even children weren't spared. Restlessness turned into behavioral issues. Energy with nowhere to go becomes chaos. To cope, medieval communities leaned hard into routine. Chores, prayers, storytelling, shared tasks, anything to give structure. Structure tells the brain, this is manageable. Without it, days blur together, and time itself starts to feel hostile. People also leaned into superstition and ritual more heavily in winter, not because they were naive, but because rituals create a sense of control. When the world feels unpredictable, your brain clings to patterns like a lifeline. So no, cabin fever isn't a modern concept. Medieval people were just living inside the original pressure cooker where boredom, stress, and cold teamed up to test everyone's sanity. Basically, winter didn't just trap bodies, it boxed in minds. Number 1, waiting for spring. More than anything, surviving winter in the Middle Ages was about endurance, not bravery, not strength. Waiting, just waiting. Winter was a suspended state. Life slowed down, not by choice, but by force. Fields were empty, travel was dangerous, progress paused. Your entire existence became about lasting long enough to see the thaw. Psychologically, this is brutal. Humans are goal-driven creatures. We need forward motion. Winter offered none, just repetition. Cold mornings, dark evenings, the same meals, the same walls, over and over. So people reframed time itself. Instead of thinking in days, they thought in seasons. After winter, when spring comes, hope wasn't abstract, it was scheduled. Spring wasn't just weather, it was salvation. This long-term hope kept people alive. The brain is remarkably good at surviving suffering if it believes relief is coming. That belief reduces stress responses, preserves motivation, and keeps people functioning just enough. And when spring finally arrived, it wasn't just warmer, it felt miraculous. Color returned, food grew again, the sun stayed longer, energy surged. People didn't just resume life, they re-entered it. Winter survival rewired people. It made them tougher, yes, but also more communal, more patient, more aware of how fragile survival really was. So when you complain about winter today, remember, medieval people didn't survive winter by conquering it. They survived by outlasting it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.